The following live broadcast is rated ESV PG. Sometimes we get a little bit out of hand. Good evening, everybody. On tonight's show, we're going to be talking about wokeness, mainly, and anything else you want to talk about as well. But the question is, has it gotten out of hand? Is it gone too far? Is it something we else will be facing? We're going to talk about it together and along with you in the chat, so feel free to join along. You guys ready to do it?
Let's do it.
All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Ear, Shoulder, Voice. My name is Keith Litfin. We're glad to have you here tonight. Tonight's topic, we're going to be talking about something particular. It's going to be wokeness. That's one of the main things that's been coming up a lot lately for people. And, you know, wokeness was a great idea. There was a lot of people and races and genders that have been left out over the years and have been misappropriated. And it's a good idea to take acknowledgement of that and figure out what we can do to make it better. But it's gone too far, in my personal opinion. Maybe some of our panelists, but some of our panelists may think that it's progressing properly, and we want to talk to them and you about it. But before we begin, I want to add a few things on there just about Ear, Shoulder, Voice, what's going on. First, an apology to everybody out there. We have not been on for a month. I've been very sick, unfortunately, and been unable to do it. I'm back. We are back, hopefully, with regular shows, and we will be seeing you a lot more regularly. Also, we're going to be retooling our Wednesday shows, and our topics are going to kind of be related to what happens during the week, as well as things people be going through during the week, including you. So go to our Facebook page or our YouTube channel, our website even, and message us something that's been going on that you want to talk about on that show, and that will become our Wednesday topic if it is appropriate or more people want it. So we're going to try to do our topics that way instead of pre-scheduling so far in advance. But aside from that, we got to do the show right now, and this is about the woke nation, and let's bring in our panelists. First off, well, I'm not even going to do the intro for it because I don't know where the intro is. They changed things up on me. Here is Bill the King. Bill, how you doing?
Hey, how's it
Bill,
going?
how you doing? It's going good. It's going good.
I'm doing good.
So we've had a month off. Let's talk first really quick. How was your Halloween?
Halloween was just, it didn't really happen like it used to, still, COVID going on and stuff like that. I didn't hit the bar or anything like that. So, but I mean, the only thing I want to say right now real quick is I'm very glad that man right there is sitting in that chair and still with us and doing what he does, just to be able to share everyone's opinions with everybody and do this type of thing and maybe help somebody out with something. So glad to see you.
Well, thank you very much. I'm definitely glad to be here. It was a scary time for a period, but it's all getting better now. And Halloweens will improve. You know, it was better than it was last year because last year it was like non-existent. This wasn't quite the same, but it's going to get back to normal again. I feel it. Let's bring our next panelist, Brandon. Brandon, how you doing?
What's up?
What's up? Good to have you back.
Good to
So
have you
aside
back.
from it's been like a month. How have you been?
I've been good. Yeah, Halloween was weird. There's like me, our neighbors, and one across the street who just moved in within the last year. We were the only three that were all like out and ready to pass out candy, and the rest of the street was not. And we were like, oh, so we just hung out.
Apparently around here I ended up having to work. I didn't plan on working Halloween. I ended up going to work, so I didn't get to do an exterior, but apparently there was a whole bunch of houses that were trick-or-treating, but I'm like in the middle of a neighborhood in a little cul-de-sac in the exact dead center of it, so nobody comes down our street. Anyway, it's like they go all around us but avoid our street. I have like really do my house up so it can be seen from blocks down, like we want to go there. That's the only way I can do it. All right, well, this is the three we got for now. We'll have Gail Marie joining us shortly
with the lights.
Yeah. So we're going to get to our topic right now. This has been brought up a lot. Some people wanted to talk about it, and I've wanted to do it for a few weeks now, but Bill's gone. But either way, Brandon, you can talk then.
I got you.
And that is being woke. It's the woke nation right now. Wokeness was a thing, and I thought it was an important thing for a while. And now I'm beginning to think it's gotten out of hand. What is your opinion on that, Brandon?
I think that's just what the headlines want you to think. There's definitely some outrage on some things. There's some woke going too far, cancel culture, all that stuff. But if you talk to people in regular life, I don't think it's that bad.
Well, you don't think it's that bad? Okay, well, what about you, Bill? As far as the wokeness that's been happening lately, we'll bring up some specific instances shortly that people have told me about. What do you think about it right now? Do you think it's out of hand? Do you think it's progressing nicely, needed or not?
You know, it's. I just sit there and look, and you know, there's too many people right now that think that all the bad thing that's been going on is over with, type of thing, and they're just like going and doing what they want to do and stuff like that. And I understand that because it's been a long time, but
Yeah.
they're still not taking precautions.
Do you think the term has something to do with it? Because I don't think wokeness is as new as people act like it is. I think they've been working on that progressively for the last 4 decades.
If you take just the word, it's just woke, which is, you know, the lazy shortened version of awakening or being awake. It's just trying to have better ideals. It's good intent. You want to have the best ideals possible. You want to keep growing as a community, as a nation, and progress. But when you use it as a weapon, that's when it's not good.
That's what I think has actually happened over the last few years. Is it's become weaponized. That was a great term for it. And it has been. It's become for political gain. It's become weaponized. And it's become just something that we could be pissed off at.
Yeah, like we don't have enough.
Yeah, like we have plenty of shit to be pissed off at. We don't need this too.
Right.
But we do. I'm sure Gail Marie is, when she joins us, and she should be here shortly, and when she joins us, I think she's more on the side of it's going in the right direction. So we definitely want to talk to her as well.
Yeah, like what I couldn't even finish my dinner today because Aaron Rodgers went to a party.
Yeah. It gets
silly.
It gets ridiculous. Everybody out in the chat, how do you feel about the wokeness? Do you think it's gone too far? Do you think it's good? Are there any issues that have by chance bothered you or affected you at all with it? And I'm going to bring up a story right now. We got one of them. I have a gentleman who contacted me about, and he was accused in human resources at his job for the first time ever of profiling a black person. And this is the story he gave me, which is ridiculous. He works for IKEA. I will say that. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said IKEA, but I do. Okay, so he works for IKEA, and he was training a new guy. He works in the warehouse, and there's different jobs. There's packers, there's shippers, there's pickers, and all that stuff. Well, the guy was a black guy. He had just been hired, and he asked what the jobs. He goes, what I'm doing today. He goes, well, you're new. The first thing we do, you're going to be a picker today. You're going to go over there. You're going to decide what goes where on there. So guess who got called into human resources for racism and profiling?
Just for that.
Because he said the black guy was going to be a picker.
That's
he almost lost his job.
Anyway.
It's a weird term because you're taking it in today's context.
Right.
You know, it is the job. It is a picker. You got a picker, a packer, a shipper.
One of the things I say all the time is words are hard.
But the biggest problem of it is for me at least, and maybe the term is wrong, it's not that the job is called a picker. It's the fact that the new employee took this opportunity to try to raise and start some shit.
Right.
Over a job that has existed in that company for a long time and is handled by every new employee at some point.
So, wouldn't you go after IKEA?
And
Think
it's
bigger.
But why would you?
Think
But
bigger,
why
dude.
would you? And that's where the problem comes in, is why would you go after a big company for having a job title that can relate back? I'm sorry to say it, he's a black guy. He's never picked cotton. He's never been in the fields. He's never been a slave.
Right.
This did not bring up repressed memories he had. It did not do anything for him in that sense. He could have gone to HR, gone to IKEA and said, I really don't like the terminology of the job, not tried to get somebody fired and try to start a lawsuit for racial profiling. There's a big difference there.
That's why I said go towards IKEA and not.
Oh, I
towards
thought you
an
meant like the
individual.
resources for having it. Then I understand that. I'm going to bring in our queen of no context right now. We
They've been
have.
after this thing for a while now.
Whoa. Oh, hello. Hello. Sorry about that. I'm sorry. We can wait. I don't think she's ready yet. Okay.
That might be the best name ever. I needed no context for that.
There was no context for that. That was the queen of no context. Now, who do you think in that particular situation, who do you think was right, just out of curiosity?
Well, it's less about who was right, more about who was wrong there. Because the guy who was training him was just doing his job. And I guess that is right. But it's
In a
obviously
warehouse
wrong to go after him
situation-
like that.
In a warehouse situation, the word picker has been used forever and ever and ever. And I understand
Right.
that, everyone's trying to be more politically correct and blah blah blah, stuff like that. But that's not. He didn't say you're going to be a cotton picker, you're going to be this, and he didn't use it in that term. That's just a job that's in the warehouse. It's what it is.
That's really what we're going to argue over is words. That's how bad
That's
it
what I'm
is.
talking about. The word did not, when that word was even created, the warehouse has been there a long time, obviously. It's IKEA. And warehouse jobs, the job of picker has been created. I don't think the job was ever picked because, hey, this sounds like black people picking cotton. Let's call it picker.
Right.
I
yeah.
think it was called that because you're picking items.
Literally picking.
You're picking orders.
One who picks a picker.
Yes.
Peter
And-
Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
And that's looking for problems. How about out there in the chat? Who do you think was right in that situation? If you have an opinion on that, please let us know. Because we care about your views, whether you think they're right, whether you think they're wrong, just let us know. Your voice is most important to us. So, I mean, obviously, I heard back, nothing really came from it. They had to still file it as a complaint against him, blah, 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 and all that, but nothing came from it. But with the right person, you're ruining lives and careers and everything over the title of a job.
Yeah. You mess with someone's livelihood, you mess with their life. Like, that's messed up.
Yeah. Almost all jobs somehow could be related to something else in the past. Job titles. It has nothing to do with it if we chose to complain about them.
I'm trying to think back at my old jobs now.
Yeah, I mean, just not even necessarily as far as racial profiling or anything like that, but they could be related back to other jobs, that are not part of what you're actually doing. We don't associate it with that. If somebody in Taco Bell's line is a steamer, we don't think, you work on locomotives.
Oh, I think of the Cleveland steamer.
We don't. Yeah, that's natural. That's normal. We expect that.
I'm trying to think what do you even call the picker role at a warehouse if not picker?
You call it a picker because that's what they're doing,
That's fair.
and that's But again,
Just
the point
there's
wasn't
not
really.
an easy replacement word, so why are we fighting about it?
You almost have to wonder if the intent of this new hire was to do just that. Was to create something kind of like way back when. I don't know if you remember this, Brandon. Bill, you probably do. Hooters underwent a big lawsuit because two guys applied to be waitresses. They were declined. They sued Hooters for sexual discrimination. They won.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's called Hooters. It's in the description. It is, designed for scantily clad women, whether you agree with that or not, and not even too scantily clad, but comparatively.
Right.
To serve it, and they sued them. And like I said, the woke movement, I think, has been going on for a very long time.
Yeah, it's just.
Well, you know what?
Oh, go ahead.
What came from that too was the fact that Hooters always hired girls with big boobs,
Right.
and even after that, when the guys went after that, then the girls that did not have the large breasts, they sued Hooters too because they wouldn't hire them. It's like, I'm a female, and they used the fact that they didn't hire a male, and they went into something. It was, I forgot what all it was about, but the two girls sued them because they were almost flat-chested, I guess, type of thing, and they wouldn't hire them because they didn't have big enough boobs.
But that's another thing, and that was years ago. I mean, that was years and years ago that this happened, and that's literally another issue because it's called Hooters. If I went to a place called Vaginas and Titties and I applied for work, I would not expect to be hired. I don't have a vagina. I have titties. I don't have a vagina. And that's the thing. And if I applied for that job, I would apply on the intent of getting turned down, on the intent of suing, on the intent of causing an uproar. It was news then. Now it's not news.
Didn't it start with when McDonald's made the salad? Not to quote Bill Burr exactly, but it kind of started there when they started apologizing for making America fat.
Yeah. It's called McDonald's. You've always been fat.
Yeah.
Drina's here. Drina says, hello, watching from the sweet side of Detroit, Michigan, USA. Glad to have you here, Drina. How is your day going? How was your Halloween? We've missed you. We haven't been on for a month, so we're glad to see you again. How was your Halloween? How do you feel about it right now? We're talking about the woke world, and has it gone too far? Do you think it's appropriate? Are we going in the right direction? How do you feel about that? All right, so we're gonna move on from that a little bit. I think that was good. The guy, I don't think the guy did anything wrong,
No,
and
we weren't there.
I don't
But
think
I
the
don't
company
think they
did either. I know this person very well, so I mean, I have no reason to think this. Don't get me wrong; he's cracked his jokes in his time. We all have, but no, he's always had that job. He's hired a bunch of different people. He calls it a picker. So let's go on to something also along the lines of this. And this is something that's been bothering the hell out of me. Who here has seen the new Halloween film? Anybody?
I have.
Me
Okay.
too.
Okay, well, we're not going to
Oh,
talk
yeah,
about the film yet. We will discuss that at some point because there's a lot going on before I go through that. But I have something about that I want to discuss. First, we got Allison here as well. She got here late. What's the woke world? Woke world, we're talking about right now how wokeness is taking over the world and people are using stupid things to constantly cause problems, uproars, create topics, buzzwords, stuff like that. And do you think if it's gone too far, or do you think that it's on the right track, or we're doing too little and we've got to do better? What do you think about that? And Drina says, we fucked up, case closed. Totally. We've done fucked up a lot of times. We've definitely fucked up. And we let it constantly get to that point. We didn't know when to cut it off. And this is totally the generation. This is like 80s, 70s, and 80s generation's fault. It's our generations of kids. It's them who's grown up, who are going to be the perfect parents, us who didn't want to spank our kids, us who didn't want anything else, that let it go too far, raise these entitled kids who are also the generation below us, who think everything is owed to them, who think nothing should ever offend them. There is no reason to, and everything makes you cry. And their kids now who are just going to be zombified idiots that have created this, and it's gone way too far. Allison says, yeah, I see, and people be crazy. And speaking of crazy people, we're going to talk about Michael Myers really quick, because those who don't know that this has been going on for a while, it's been more in the news the last week or two. I heard about it shortly after. He's a homophobic now. Have we heard this?
Because it
I
happened.
thought
Because
you
it
were
happened
talking
to
about
be
Michael
gay guys.
Myers Halloween.
Huh?
Yeah.
That's
Are
who
you
I'm talking about.
Michael
Yeah,
Myers
you are.
Halloween?
Yeah.
That's exactly who I'm talking about.
It's because the guys from Mad TV were the ones who happened to be living in his house.
Yeah.
That's kind of
Yeah.
interesting because that's just a location issue.
It is, and there's nothing in that movie that points it out. And I'm going to get to more in a minute. Allison says on here she wants to respond. She said she used to spank her kids, but wasn't allowed. And that's what I'm talking about. It gets to the point. I'm sorry, kids need to be spanked sometimes. They do not need to be beat. They do not need to be hurt. They do not need to be abused, but they need to be spanked. And if your kid mouths off to you, maybe slap them once and they won't do it again. Not everybody agrees with that, but that's my personal opinion. What about you guys?
I think I deserved more hits than I did get.
And you're that generation below. And God knows when you have kids, I hope you don't turn them into these.
No, mine are going to be. I'm going UFC on my kids.
Maybe that might get you in more trouble. That would probably.
There's got to be an in between.
Body slam elbow.
Adrena says, really, we've actually made some progress, but eating out, no pun intended, is a choice. You choose to eat unhealthy. It tastes great most of the time. We've become very sensitive. Back to the McDonald's comment, absolutely. That was the thing. I'm sorry, when I was growing up, nobody ever said McDonald's was healthy.
Right.
I had no thought in my mind that McDonald's was the healthy items to eat.
They still don't.
Yeah,
We're
but
all
I mean,
realistic.
and they apologize for it. You, like Drina says, so we make that choice.
Michael Myers might be the most equality-driven person I've ever met. Because if you kill everybody, no matter who they are.
That's kind of the point of it. Jack says he did spank his kids, but only if they needed it. He says, I do spank my kids, but only if they need it. And that's how it should be. And I'm sure it's not something that happens regularly, but they learn, in a sense. I'm not saying there's not other ways to teach your kids, because surely there is. But it's not a bad way. I didn't grow up to be an abusive person because I got spanked. I got smacked the fuck out. I had a lot of things happen if I was wrong. I didn't get really what someone would consider abuse, but believe me, my mother could kick my ass.
See, if I wasn't spanked a few times I'd be one of those lifted truck, blaring music, balls hanging off of the tailgate guys.
Right, you'd be bitching about being a picker.
Right.
And stuff like that. Jack says also I usually ground my kids depending on the situation. That works a lot of times. I think a lot of times parents who ground their kids have a problem following through lately. I think that's something that parents have to do because their grounding consists of simple things and they forget. It's hard to ground your kids when, and I don't know about you, Jack, you probably do this, but it's hard to ground your kids when their world is buried in their phone. You know, you can take everything away.
Their games. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's all they care about. All right. Now we're going to go back to Michael Myers for a minute and the homophobic aspect. And you're right. I consider him an equal opportunity killer. I think he kills everybody. And you want to see more gay people, black people, whatever in movies. That's fine. Well, we have them. We have them in a movie where the guy killed virtually everybody in the movie.
Right down the line.
Right. And I'm sorry, they're part of everybody. The gay guys are.
They were in the house. That's his house.
Yeah. But you want them in the movie, but you want them to survive.
They were great characters, too. Why do you got to be mad about this?
They did. They portrayed them great. They were funny characters. But that's what happened. He just killed the gay guys on there. And somebody decided, oh my God, they hate fucking gay characters. They hate them. That's it. That's why he killed them. Get off your fucking ass. Get off from behind your computer. Stop typing shit in to create stupid little controversies, stupid little information about characters. And get off. Turn off your computer. Stand up. Go upstairs and get the Hot Pockets your mom said they're ready. Because that's all you're doing. You're sitting there creating shit. And your one little post creates this world of hatred. And you're working against yourself. Because when I see stuff like this, at least for me personally, I see you've gotten the equality of including them in a film. And now you're trying to separate them to become, you can include them, but you can't hurt them. You can't harm them. That is not equality.
All right. Can you imagine that movie, though?
Do you think it would have been different if it was two gay women?
No.
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good point.
It probably would have still happened. But maybe not as fast.
All right, we're going to get off the Michael Myers for a minute. I mean, we can go back to it later, but we're still going into the child thing and how people are behaving. And I want to stick with that because that seems to be the topic people are interested in. And eating healthy. Drina says, if you won't cook it at home, don't eat out. Spankings publicly makes people judge you harshly, but I got spanked deservingly, which I look back on and admit I was usually wrong. And what you did is what most people did. You know, they grew up, they look back, they realized what they did was wrong. They realized the spankings were not too harsh to actually damage them for life. They corrected the situation at the time. And I'm sorry, kids don't want pain. They can avoid a lot of words. They can avoid a lot of simple punishments. They remember the pain of being spanked. They don't want to be hurt. They don't want to get a freaking splinter. They fall down and mommy's got to kiss the boo-boo. Like, they're kids. Pain is the one thing they like. We don't want to have to deal with that again. And
well, you have in time, unfortunately, that people treat their kids sometimes like they treat dogs. A dog does something bad, and a person will take a dog and beat the hell out of the dog.
Yes.
And they think, okay, now that dog listens to me, and they try to do the same thing to their kid. Now, being the oldest guy here. Being the oldest guy here and stuff, I mean, after my father invented the wheel, all right, and we lived in that cave and everything, my father hit me with a club. No. But, I mean, I wasn't beat. I got spanked. My dad had a belt. It was an old piece of leather strap. I mean, an old piece of leather strap. But my father just, he was the one that, when he told me, hey, you did it wrong, don't do it wrong again, I knew what was coming, so I didn't do it bad.
Right, and that's what we learned from it. Like Drina said, that's what we learned. You know, what about you, Brandon? You said you got spanked on occasion, right?
Yeah, but it takes that reflection after you grow up, right? And if there was no spankings, there's nothing to reflect on, and you just keep thinking you're going to keep getting your way, and all of a sudden you're blogging about Halloween.
Yeah, like in your basement blogging about Halloween. Going back to something else she said on here was the spankings publicly makes people judge you harshly. And that's true. Do you think they do that too much now? I don't see it a lot. I mean, I've been spanked publicly. If I was acting up in the grocery store, it was usually one swat on the ass, you know, like boom. and you behaved. You're in a grocery store.
And that's what a spanking is. It's usually like one smack on your ass, and it just kills me seeing these people, which I don't see it so much anymore because I don't go to the stores, but the people that had their kids on the leash.
Oh, yeah.
And the kids would start running away, and I seen women grab that string or rope or whatever and yank the kid, and they fall back on their ass and on their head, and it's like, and everyone used to tell me, well, it's better than hitting them.
Is it?
I don't think so.
The worst injuries from bar fights are when they hit the ground.
Usually that's the worst one. Usually involves a head crack. Moving a little off topic, but very interesting. Drina says, and you're always allowed to move off topic here. We don't care. That's the whole point. I have a question about having more than one partner. I've never had that. Do the girls strap up and give it to the guys? And does this seem as a homosexual act? This, oh my God, it's November 10th. This was supposed to be that show, wasn't it? I think it was. This was actually supposed to be that show, and we didn't do it because I wasn't following the schedule anymore because of how October.
Yes,
But,
yes.
I can guess it can be part of the show right now as well.
Do it.
Well, let's start simple enough. Yes, girls do strap up sometimes and give it to the guys. And no, it depends on who you talk to on whether or not it's a homosexual act. Most people in private will say no. But in public, most guys will be like, yeah, that's fucking gay. What do you guys think about that? Why not?
I'd have to really like her.
What do you mean, Drina? By the way, Drina, what do you mean by having more than one partner? You've never had that, and what kind of partner are you referring to? Two guys and a girl, two girls and a guy. How is that? Just curious. But we discussed this. Go ahead, Bill.
Well, in general area now, it's considered pegging.
Prepare to
And
peg.
the thing is, you have to think about the fact of, all right, is this chick got the guy tied down and she's just trying to fucking bust his asshole open, screaming him up, or if she's doing it for his pleasure. So,
Yeah, I mean, safe words and stuff. I guess.
Well,
you
yeah,
could bring
if you get into
it.
like the bondage, the BDSM stuff, usually I like to think that was mutually agreed upon, and they
Broccoli.
know what to expect. I mean, the truth of the matter is for guys, that activity is it is a pleasurable activity. It is actually, what do they call it? Milking the prostate, massaging the prostate. Yeah, which for a guy is like their G spot. So it's very enjoyable for the guy. And often there have been women known to do that to guys, and they very much enjoy it. And for some reason, the women often very much enjoy doing that too. I don't know if it's a feeling of dominance. We don't have Gail Marie here. I thought we would. I don't know if it's a feel of dominance or what, but the women sometimes actually do enjoy that. I talked to quite a few who say that it gives them a feeling of power, like the one in control.
I'm going to say this, and I'll probably get yelled at and whatever, but women have penis envy, and their penis envy goes in many different directions, and part of it is I don't have a penis, and I'm going to use this, and I'm going to hit the hole the guy has. So,
that's actually, there's nothing wrong with saying that, because that's something I've heard women actually say. It's because they've always wanted a penis. They've always wanted to be able to do something like that. And it's a feeling of actually having it, even though they never really can truly experience what it's like. And we can't truly experience the other way around either.
It's overrated.
And when it comes to anal sex, you get some women that they were just like, okay, so I let him do it because I wanted to let him do it, but I really didn't like it, so I'm going to go out and buy a fucking strap-on, and I'm going to do it to him so he can see how it feels.
That's an interesting point on it. That could be it. But the thing is, he has something in this. He has something inside that can make it feel good.
Sometimes they do that reverse. It's like your green card to do that is you got to get pegged first.
Yeah. Drina says, I don't know if we have a topic. I'm sorry for being late. And we're kind of in the midst of reworking our Wednesdays. We'll kind of have a topic that was decided throughout the week, but just like the open forum Sundays, we're willing to change and work with other topics. But we're going to try to hit something main that is current or bothering somebody particular each week as well on the Wednesdays. And those topics will be decided by people who will go to our Facebook page, YouTube, or website and just enter them or let us know, and we'll be glad to include them. In response to the multiple people, she says 3, 4, 5, 7. I'm a one-on-one person. I think about the smells. Ew.
Yeah.
I don't think about the smells, but now I do. And ew.
It's like that elevator you wish you didn't step in.
Yeah, it's like something that I'm sure it's always existed, and I know it's always existed, but I don't think about it at the time. And now I'm like, oh, now I'm going to think about that. I'm going, wait, Drina said the smell. Oh, damn.
Yeah. I'll get a nose plug.
Never was interested. 2 guys, 1 girl, 2 girls, 1 guy. Doesn't matter. Okay. As far as that, myself, I'm not going to speak for being as a teenager or in my early 20s. I'm a one-on-one person as well. I think that's the way it is. It works better, especially when you're trying to settle down for a relationship. But there are some people that don't see sex related to that. Sex is just an activity. So there's no love involved. It's about the fun of the basically orgy or whatever with multiple partners. I personally now at this point in my life, I find that the love is important to have. I didn't always think that way. 2 girls, 1 guy, 2 girls. It really doesn't matter. Honestly, when it comes to sexuality and sexual stuff, there's nothing that really is off the table. There's only stuff that is off the table for talking about, like in public, not on this show because we don't care, but like in groups of friends and stuff. There's a lot of guy friends you have. I have, these 2 probably have, and everybody who have taken it up the ass. Let's be frank. They will never discuss that with their friends in an open room with anybody else. And if anybody else does do it, often the ones who are like, oh God, no, I ain't gay or all that stuff, well, then they've done it. Yeah. And the last thing they want to do is admit that they liked it, But yeah, it's very common. Go ahead, Bill.
Well, I had a buddy that told me, he's like, oh my gosh, he goes, I got with this girl Sarah now, and we're straight and everything like that. We're having sex the other night, and she wanted to stick her finger in my ass. And I went, okay. And he goes, well, I didn't want her to do it because I thought I might like it. And of course, right then and there, I knew that he did do it, let her do it, and he did like it. And I bugged him about it for like 2 hours at the bar. And he's like, well, what are anal beads? And I went, oh, I said, see, there you are.
Ripcord?
Right. All right, just notice for anybody on here. The show, we are switching the rating over really quick to mature because we are hitting these topics deeper, and I want to make sure if anybody who's watching the show is rated mature, so I'm going to keep that up for a minute, aside from comments that we might have.
Oh, you just changed the rating like that. No.
That's okay. Usually we don't go that far, but I don't mind going that far. In this show, I didn't think we would. I spoke to who said their marriage was running dry, so they switched roles +1. That's probably the most common reason why these activities happen, and guys try different things, and girls try different things too, and girls might take it from the back door. They might want to give it to their guy. There's also a lot of other things that happen that we won't necessarily go into detail to that a lot of us would find gross, disgusting, unique, blah, blah, blah.
I do think it's becoming more commonplace too. Seeing more, even just polyamorous relationships.
You don't have to leave, Allison. Immature people are allowed. Absolutely. It's just for kids, really. Not all kids need to see all this or hear all this, but we're not geared towards kids anyway. On there. But yeah, when your marriage starts to run dry and you find ways to spice it up. Let's face it, sex is enjoyable, but sex can get boring if you do it the same way and you have every single night for 365 days a year. Well, every week, every month, maybe for some. But every time it's the exact same thing. You look for something to spice it up. Well, what ways to spice it up? Go find another partner, which is typically frowned upon, especially with your current partner. Or find ways to enhance the bedroom time. And try something new. Something you're going to try, you're not going to like. And as long as you communicate about it, it's not going to be a big deal. Right. Most people say, hey, no, you don't like that? Okay, let's try something else. I mean, literally, you live in the world of the internet. So if you want to try something really new and unique, just Google it and then clear your search history.
Soon I'm going to try sauerkraut again, just to see, but I don't think...
Now, they said they had a different person regularly. This person that you're talking about is regularly, or is married, I'm assuming, or has a regular partner, and they're constantly going to find other partners. If this is kind of what's called, I guess, an open relationship, as long as feelings don't develop. And it is a chance for you to try something else because, let's face it, maybe your partner is boring as fuck in bed. Maybe they don't do anything. Maybe they don't spice it up. So if they understand that, and there are some partners that do say, yeah, you got it, then they'll let you go out and enjoy things with a regular partner as long as they are still the one you're with and still the one you mainly want to do things with. I don't agree with that. I think it leads to bad things, but I have seen couples and relationships make it work. I really have. And I find it weird, but they do. Well, I was just going to say something else on that. Now I can't remember. What about you guys? What about you, Bill?
Watch for pineapples.
Yeah, no pineapples off the butt. But then again, you might find people that like it.
I meant pineapple, like if they have a pineapple shirt on or pineapples in the house.
Okay, wait, am I missing something? What's with the pineapples?
I had heard that the pineapples are a sign of open relationship.
Oh, I have not heard that. I was thinking of Little Nicky.
I have not.
That's what was in my head.
Little Nicky.
Huh. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. I bet a bunch of listeners are just like, oh, I have pineapples out. I should probably get rid of those. I might be wrong.
Jack says, every time I have added another person to the bedroom has affected the relationship. That is the majority of the response with doing something like that. Most of the time it's going, you don't think it will, but eventually it will. I said I've seen it work. It's been a very rare case where it's worked. Because too many people confuse sex with love. And they start to develop feelings with that other person. Or that other person, let's face it, is better than the one you're with. Let's say the one you're with has been slammed by the same guy for years, so why not? You want something new, something fresh. Or vice versa, same girl. You want something new, you want something fresh. Maybe the guy you're going to has a small dick and you want to be filled up at this point. There's lots of reasons why it can happen, but you start to like it and you go after it again and again. And eventually that does.
Or the jealousy.
The
jealousy of the person letting that happen. Sometimes you think you're okay with it, and then you're not.
Gabe says, or gerbils. Watch out for gerbils. Oh, my God, that's been crazy. Drina says, also, I think I'll stay with my own freaky limitations, which most would say limitless. And I'm not telling, but definitely one-on-one. But my clothes are my clothes.
She got pineapples.
No pineapples for Drina. But yeah, and that's what you do. But eventually you'll find new things. Let's face it, every single one of us enjoy, whether you're man, woman, gay, straight, whatever, you experience for the first time. And you liked it. And you didn't know. There was always a first time on everything. There was a first time for a guy that got a blowjob. There was a first time a woman may have been eaten out. The first time you got, screwed missionary or doggy style or whatever. There was a first time for everything you did. And that's what made you have these choices to like something or something else. Trying new things is perfectly fine. Don't go too far if you're not into pain. Don't go into pain. Don't get into all that BDSM stuff. If you like being tied up, maybe you'll go into a little bondage. Maybe you'll try it and say that's so exciting, not having control and having somebody worship you. That's how some people see it. Everything has its merits, but it's not for everybody. But there's nothing that's not worth trying, in my opinion. Allison was thinking of SpongeBob with the pineapple.
Oh no. He lives in a pineapple under the sea. He hangs out with Patrick an awful lot and Squidward, so
Trina, you're not going too fast. Don't worry. You're not going too fast. We'll catch up to anything. We're good on there. And Gabe says, I just woke up. Is this the woke show? It started as the woke show. Now it's the woke and sex show.
Now you're woke.
Yeah, but actually going into this, there's a little bit about this sex topic that even Brandon brought it up. It says now it's more commonplace and more accepted, and that's the woke too. And that's where I think it has played an important part in our world.
Yeah,
that there has been more acceptance. The problem is going from acceptance to overabundance. And from acceptance to we are better, we should be treated better.
Weaponized, yeah.
Yes. And that's where it comes in. And so the woke movement has its, going back to it for Gabe here, yeah, it is the woke show. The woke movement has its merits. It has 100% reasons why you should be woke, in my opinion. But it goes just way too fucking far.
Well, yeah. It's the what is woke debate.
Which I think personally, and unless we have more sexual questions, feel free, or anything else you want to talk about,
It's all
feel
up.
free. We're going to still hit on this because I actually have a lot of people have brought stuff up to me that we should discuss over the last 4 weeks, and a lot of them had to do with this topic. So I'm trying to hit what I can on there, and that is movies and pop culture and media. Outside sex options, Trina says. What kind of options? I mean, we can still talk about sex. We can still talk about anything you want to. This is your show. We're just hosting it. This is our chat show. This is the people's show. We just give you a forum to talk about it with no yes, no, no you're right, no you're wrong, no nothing like that. It's your chance to let your voice be heard more than anything. Okay, but we're going back to sex. Best places, worst places. Okay. Outside sex. Oh, is that what you meant by outside sex?
Yeah.
It's up to the individual.
I was not a fan.
Most people of outside sex.
No.
It depends how cold it is, honestly.
Oh, it was great.
It
weather.
does, because I'm one of those.
The grass.
As I've gotten older, not because of size or anything, sir. Because as I've gotten older, my priorities have changed when it comes to that. Like, if I'm tired, I'm too fucking tired. I'm not having sex with you. I'm like, and that wins. It used to be a while back. It's like, okay, I can sleep later. Now it's like, okay, I'm going to sleep. Do the work. Do what you need to do. And if it's too cold, I'm like, I want to bundle up. It's stuff like that. So it really depends on the weather. However, I find it hot in the rain. Don't ask why that is.
Oh. Okay, I could try again for that.
Giving Brandon ideas here.
Damn, winter's coming.
I actually really do enjoy outdoors, but yeah, the weather has an impact anymore. I mean, I've done it in the snow before, obviously. I think Bill has too. I think we discussed that at some point in the past.
I built an igloo.
That's better.
Right? I had the one girl tell me I want to have sex outside, but it's too damn cold. I said, fine. So I had one of those things for the kids that you made the blocks out of the snow, and I built the igloo, right? And it took me like an hour, a big enough igloo that I'm 6'2" that I can lay down in. And I go in the house and I get her because she was staying with me at the time. I said, come on. She goes, what? I said, we're going outside. She goes, I told you it's too cold. I said, we're fine. We go in the igloo and we're having sex. And of course, her head hit the side wall and boom, and everything fell down on us. And I just jumped up and left her there under the snow. So I was like,
all right. Just to remind our viewers out there, today's topic is the woke nation and sexual fetishes and sexual activities. Kind of a combination of our scheduled show and our new topic show. We're just combining them both because we're going to change our topics a bit. What about you, Brandon? Outdoors, no outdoors? Anybody in the chat, what's your opinion? Do you think outdoors is better, not outdoors? Particular situations you think are good?
Oh, indoors definitely better, but outdoors has that, like, for the first time, of course. Yeah, it's like, it's got that, it's different. It's
risk
there's
of
a
getting caught.
curveball.
There is something about snow, though. Allison also says snowstorm, Brandon. There is something about the snow, having sex in the snow, for sure. There's
It's
something
so quiet.
It's not even, you can do it in a freaking blizzard, but it's really cool when you're done, you realize you've melted all the snow around you. Like, and there's just this, I'm serious, that's how it works.
I packed two things.
In the moment of the action, you are hot, you're so warm, you're hot, you're sweaty, you got to go, and you don't really notice the snow as much as you think you would. And it's kind of cool. I mean, I think.
See, I'm just thinking that
it's not just the outside, it's where you do it, because again, a big part of it for some people is the possibility you might get caught. You might be seen. Yeah. Someone may be looking at you from afar.
See, I just got that scene from Christmas Story in my head with the stuck to the pole.
Gabe says, that sounds horrible. My ass would be frozen. And that's handy because what Drina was talking about is sometimes the girl likes to do the guy in the butt. And if your ass is frozen, you won't feel it half as much. So, it's beneficial to both of you.
Defrosting is great.
Yes.
Defrosting.
I mean, it does depend on where outside. I just think, like, probably my favorite area doing it outside at all is a big open area. Just where somebody could be walking by or something, but typically doesn't. One time was on a jungle gym at a park with one of my friends. We did that, and that was enjoyable. But I'm one who also like water. Water is a no-go. I'm like, it's like a movie theater for me. Like if I'm watching a movie, I paid $11 for this shit. I'm watching the movie. Get off my jock. If I'm in water too, I'm like, I'm in water. I want to swim. Like, plus for me, it's difficult to do it in water. I don't know. For me, the friction isn't there.
Yeah, it's not what you.
Okay.
It's not as easy as you think.
Hunting in Canada. All right.
Oh, no.
Okay, say that again. You cut out for a second. Say it again.
Hunting in Canada, right?
Okay.
Tree stand. Up in the air, 14, 15 feet, right? And it's a guy and a girl. And all of a sudden, we're sitting there. It's like we haven't seen anything in 2 hours. And all of a sudden, the sex starts, right? And she's leaning out of the front of the blind of the cover of the tree stand. And you're having sex with her. She's like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And you think it's great sex, and you don't know that there's a bear crawling up the fucking tree.
That's hot.
That is so hot. That is so hot. So did the bear get some?
Well, when she
you ain't gonna
screamed
stop
enough,
a bear, buddy.
when she screamed enough, I pulled out stop, and she's like, it's right below us. And I was like, it was right in you. And there was a bear underneath our tree stand, not able to, because of the tree stand sets, wasn't able to get up and get in it. It was a young bear that was being chased by older bear that was trying to kill it. So, male bears will kill cubs. And it was a young bear. And I was like, I just opened a little trap door in the bottom where you can see out. And I said, get the hell out of here. You know what you just screwed up for me? That's them. So.
It's just like, only you can prevent forest fires, and he gets out of there.
Right.
Trina asks, when it comes to sex, do you want to be seen?
No.
Deep down, yes. Are you talking about seen by the partner, like lights out and dark, or are you talking about seen by someone
Like
else?
put
We're
on
talking
a
about
show.
seeing someone else. I want to, in a sense, outdoors, I kind of want to be caught seen. I don't want to put on a show. I don't want to do like a voyeur show or anything like that. But the idea of being caught is kind of an exciting thing, and excitement and scariness builds up tension in sex. It does.
Yeah.
So you're looking for risk, though.
Well, that builds it up. It does. It builds up the sex. It really does.
Just do it on top of the light tower.
No, because you don't want to make it so you are seen, but the threat that you could be builds up the tension.
It's always the possibility, yeah.
Yeah.
When you're young, it seems that when you're young, you want to see what you're fucking. All right.
Yeah.
Just because.
Yeah.
And then when you get older, then you don't care and you're doing other stuff. So
no, because it all looks the same. It's all some kind of melted skin suit. It's just everything you liked when you were younger. Everything you liked when you were younger was in the right places.
Well, when I was young, I wanted the lights on. I wanted to see if there was anything growing anywhere down there on her, or anything like that, or foam coming out of that shit, or anything like that. So, I mean, and of course, I've been drinking, so shut up. And but when I get older, I didn't care. So,
Allison, it became a sex show, and Bill's going on for a minute. That's okay. This was actually the scheduled topic. We changed it, so it's fine. I'm okay with that. I just wasn't ready for it. And it's also still, we're talking about anything you want, so you can bring up any topic, of course, that's not related to woke or sex, and we'll talk about it too. And there's still some things about the woke I want to get to for people who have suggested the topic and have issues. Drina says, publicly seen, as we said earlier, on that. And you strip down and what stays on. Now, to go with the thing about being seen, I don't know. I don't think I've told this story before. If I would have been on our last sex show last January. I don't think I did, though. Is going back to the jungle gym. This is what made me want to be seen, is we were inside one of the long tunnels of the jungle gym. Half of us were sticking in and out. And by the way, as far as stripping down, I want everything off. I do. I want everything off. I think it's more exciting that way, but not everybody does. Some people don't. It depends on what your personal preference is. So we just kept seeing these lights go by. Now it's in a park. It's, kids play in that jungle gym. Probably not the right thing, but still. we kept seeing lights go by, which is normal because cars turn on the streets and stuff, and we're pretty hidden. Well, it was the next day when my friends told me, so what did you do last night? Nothing. What did you do last night? This is one of my friend's mothers, by the way. So what did you do? Like, yeah. You sure you didn't go up to the park? That said the name of the park. I'm like, Turns out they were just sitting there with their lights on me practically the whole time, or turning them on and off, watching us, like eating popcorn. And the fear of somebody seeing was there when it was happening. But once I found out they did it, I'm like, that's so fucking cool. First of all, I fucked their mother. Second of all, I was like, and second of all, it was exciting. Like, I don't know, but like, I want that to happen again, but it can't be staged. And that's the thing about voyeurism. It can't be staged. It can't be something, hey, watch us have sex. Nobody wants this. Well, some people might, but most people don't. To a new topic. All right, changing the subject, Drina. All right, you brought this subject up. What the hell? All right, new topic. We're going to vaccinations now. Do you think kids 5 years of age should be vaccinated? Changing the subject. Are you talking about COVID vaccinations? Or are you talking about standard vaccinations? I'm going to actually look for the answer. We're going to
spin.
Yeah, that's what we do here. Did you miss it?
Just because I remember that argument way before COVID. Vaccinating kids.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious of. Is she talking just with the COVID, or are you talking in general? I'm going to start the topic with general. I think it's a good idea. I do. I don't like forcing vaccinations on people personally. But I think that it's logically a good idea. Most of us are here today because of vaccinations. Not everybody got vaccinated. Most of us are. There's so many things vaccinations do protect against that we just don't get, that used to kill kids at the age of 10, 12, 13, 15, 20.
Take for granted.
Yeah. And those vaccinations, early on vaccinations, protect us from it. But you are talking about COVID, so let's talk about the COVID vaccinations as well, since that is something I guess government has passed or is trying to finish passing the new laws regarding vaccinations. They're opening the vaccinations up to everybody now, recommending that everybody gets vaccinated. So, should they be? At this point, I don't think it's a bad idea.
I think it should be up to the parents at this point.
But should it be mandated? And
No.
I think that's where you're going. No, I don't think it should be mandated. I think it should be open. However, I do think if you're one who believes in vaccinating your kids, you shouldn't let politics get in the way of COVID vaccination.
Yeah, I think if it's interesting, but
it is.
I think if that's why I say it should be up to the parent for sure.
What about you in the chat? How do you feel about this if you're watching? Besides, of course, Drina. And Drina, what is your opinion on it in that same sense? What about you, Bill?
I'm sorry,
We're going with
gone for a
COVID.
minute. The dog had to
I
go
know.
bathroom.
Drina, the same question. Drina said, do you think kids 5 years of age should be vaccinated? She's talking about COVID vaccination.
I think it's up to the parents' thoughts about it, but I honestly, in my own thing, is if I had a 5-year-old or a young kid or anything like that, they would be vaccinated.
Yeah, I think me too.
I would too, because I believe in vaccinations, not COVID vaccination. I believe in vaccinations in general. I believe they do far more good than they do harm. I don't think you're a bad person if you choose not to get your kid vaccinated, but I do think you're doing a disservice because you're the same one that's going to be bitch when your kid comes down with something that can't be cured or could kill them.
Yeah,
I went and got I got the flu and the pneumonia vaccination the other day, one in each arm. Of course, I couldn't wipe my own ass for 2 days, but
yeah, you went all in.
I usually get the flu every year. I didn't get this year. I got my pneumonia vaccination 1 or 2 years ago. So I'm up to date on my pneumonia vaccination. I don't even need it yet, but they gave it to me early because I was going through so much stuff.
Right.
And
I get pneumonia twice a year usually, so.
And I know a difference. I know a difference when I get the flu vaccine. I find that year I may still get sick, but flu vaccine is not against getting sick. It's against strands of flu, and there's always new strains out there. But I know I don't get as sick. I know that a lot of people get the flu, and I don't. So I do believe in the flu vaccination. I don't think it's wrong not to believe in it. But as you said,
there is going to evolve. So
yeah, and as you said, both of you said, the mandates I think are not right. for any child. I think a child under the actually, you know what? This is really a hard term for me. This is actually a hard question because without mandates, you do have parents who are, I consider it sometimes almost abusing kids by not taking them to doctors and getting necessary protections against certain diseases. If we're talking about child vaccinations that aren't COVID. Because
mandates on the other vaccines, not the COVID. Because if we're talking COVID, I think it's way too new of a vaccine to. I can respect the choice to go, hey, this is too new. We don't know what it's doing.
Yeah,
and I can respect that. With the vaccines that we've been pretty on top of for years, I don't know if that was something they were trying to mandate.
Yeah, and I don't think it should be mandated for kids yet. I do think it should be encouraged. I don't think I need a commercial to do that, just like I don't need a commercial to tell me that somebody's on their period and needs to buy Always with Wings or whatever. You know, there's certain things you don't need commercial advertisements for, or Trojan condoms and stuff like that. You know, people know they exist. But I do think they should be encouraged at this point. But I think more than encouraging the vaccine, they should encourage real education. Yeah. Not what you hear from right or left-wing media sources or anything like that. You should do some real research on it.
You know what kills me is the fact of in this area here, all right, there are so many moms and dads going out and protesting and arguing with the schools about the vaccinations for the young kids and wearing the masks and stuff. But these are the same people that didn't do anything to help promote their school or help promote their kids in school. But they're out there saying they're bitching about this, you know?
Yeah.
And they could be on the PTA or something else and helping out the schools and doing something. And they don't do that, but they're there for that.
And hold on to that thought because that is going to circle us back to wokeness and movements and stuff like that and what people are bitching about doing nothing. And I want to go back to that because it's important, but I want to get to Drina's that are directly related to these vaccines that she was talking about, which is what do you feel about the fairness of people unvaccinated losing their jobs?
That's so messed up.
I agree and disagree. I do understand in certain fields vaccinations should kind of be required because if we're still talking COVID, or you should not be in that field, especially hospital fields, because when it comes to like hospitals, those people are protected against a lot of stuff long before COVID, and it's required. COVID should be one of them as well.
When you get the job, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that's definitely. But when we're talking about auto workers,
if we're talking about auto workers, I do think there's something to be said for the option of vaccinated or tested. Right. Those I think are good. There is not something vaccinated or no job. I do not believe in that. I think that is fucking wrong in every way. But if you're going to have that, have the option or be tested weekly. Even they're so quick now. Even if we give it to you right here, the tests are not expensive anymore. You can do home tests, buy them, give them to your employees, pay the extra few dollars to have a test for each employee when they walk in.
Yeah, they're quick.
First day of the week.
So question. I got a question. So there's a lot of people out there that still think, for whatever reason, that COVID isn't a real thing. And part of them are the ones that
think the earth is flat.
Yeah, that's about it, Brandon. Seriously. They think that COVID's not a real thing, that, you know, there's nothing going on in the world, that the government pulled this up and did this and blah, blah, blah. Well, the thing is they're not paying attention to what's going on in the world and how many people are dying and stuff and how many people get sick. And there's so many people still not going back to work because there's so many jobs open everywhere.
Right.
And I don't know. I mean, I don't know how the government thing works. Are they still getting the unemployment because they're COVID?
There's other options for them now to collect. So even though the unemployment stopped, there's options to collect.
And they're not going back to work, and they're sitting at home, sucking their own dicks or whatever they're doing and shit, and not doing a damn thing.
Drina says, I waited and weighed my options and chose. I think most parents will lay back looking at numbers. Some will, but if they're paying attention to the right numbers on there. And the numbers,
not enough numbers.
Personally, I think there are. I think at this point there are enough numbers to make a informed decision. Maybe not the perfect decision, but at least informed. Enough people have gotten this vaccine to pretty much prove there's not shit happening to us in this moment. Could it be future down the line? Yeah, but future down the line, we're learning worse effects of COVID as well. So those negative effects are also going to multiply. And there may be some, but...
And you don't know if it's going to mutate again.
Mm-hmm. As far as requiring a mandated third round as well, I don't necessarily think that's a good idea. I think it should be an option. I know everybody is now eligible, and it's recommended. Slightly political. How do you feel our current president is doing, and who would you vote for next election? Who is your ideal candidate? Okay, we're going to try to do this as least politically as possible because we cannot really. One of the rules on this show is we will not promote or demote another side, though we will discuss it. I will say, as far as the current president, I feel the same as the last president. They're both not doing a good job. Shut up, Brandon. Stop being an idiot. All right. I don't think either one did a good job. And that's my personal opinion. I'm telling you who I voted for, why I voted for them, who I did. I don't like either one. Okay. On there, I don't think it's right-left. I don't think it should be right-left or anything. I do appreciate that now government has become something more people hate again. I don't have to look my Facebook feed blasted with so much bullshit every time I go on. I don't have the occasional person who's bitching, and I can deal with that because I've always dealt with that. I don't think he's doing good, but I think America is shaping up a little bit better now.
Yeah, I should preface this by that's just hilarious that he fell asleep at the meeting. I mean, that was hilarious. I don't like either side, but it was funny.
That was funny. I agree with that.
It's like I said a long time ago, right? With Ross Perot, there's no man that has an amount of money that should be president of the United States. That was my thoughts forever. Trump's the same thing. He should not be the president of the United States with that type of money. Joe Biden, he's too damn old. I mean, the only thing I think about everything like that is if we want a good president, we need to get someone like John F. Kennedy in that young era that has an idea what the fuck is going on in the world sometimes.
That's what I think. And that's, you asked, Drina asked who is our ideal candidate. Honestly, as far as they're talking about who's going to be running, neither one of them. I don't not want to go back to the world the way it was 4 years ago, and not because of the president, but because of the people.
Yep.
The way the people acted. I appreciate that our world is finally getting to a little more common decency to each other. Not great, but we're definitely improved from where we were. But I think a candidate should be young. I think a candidate should be ideal. I think a candidate should have to live in the world they create. You get these 70, 80-year-old candidates and presidents, they don't have to worry about the world they create. They're locked in. They're going to die soon. They can do what they want. Who cares? You need somebody young who, when they're done with the presidency, has to live in this world. Has to spend another 30, 40, 50 years in this world. We need ideals. We need them on the left and we need them on the right. The left has gone way overboard. The right has gone way overboard. Both have. They're both responsible. It's government in general. Maybe some more than others. That's a personal opinion.
Yeah, and if you get a young guy that comes in, he's going to be there for multiple terms. If the people like him and he knows what he's doing, and he knows what's going on. So
Drina says, oh my God, what, Drina? What are you saying, oh my God, for, Drina?
The suspense is good.
I know, I'm waiting. But yeah, that's what I think. I think the biggest thing that our government should work on, I think we should drop almost everything we're dealing with. And I think should work on term limits, ages, and reestablish what is needed to be a leader of this country, whether in Congress, whether the Senate, whether the House, no matter what. We got to reestablish what it takes to be there, reestablish limits, reestablish age groups. Have presidents have to be under 60 and above 35. That's fine. Maybe under 65 at most. We've got to do stuff like that. What is that, Brandon?
That's a really, really tall order, and it's kind of maybe we need wokeness as much as it's horrible wokeness. And we hate it. There's a lot of change happening. There's a lot of higher ups that are being persuaded by the woke culture. So if right, we can at least see that the people can make some change now.
The problem is all these people are too busy focused on the woke culture.
Right.
And what we will do to make them happy, or they're focused on the anti-woke culture and what we can do to make them happy, rather than the issues at hand.
Right. Well, that's always been the issue, hasn't it? That it's never about the issues; it's about winning.
That's what I'm talking about. We need somebody. And with the sad truth, and essential good truth, is the youth of today, in some ways, are far better than us. They really are. They are far more open-minded. They have far more vision than we do. And they go off the rails on some things. But they are a better group of people. If we want shit done, we need people like that to not be bombarded with the thoughts of old, white, stupid, degrading men that just ruin the world they live in and constantly shove this shit down their throat and let them come up with ideas. Let them come up with suggestions. Let them say what world they want to live in. And then let's work towards that. Not preach down what we think is right. The fact is, most black people are not upset about the black stereotypes we're having. Most gay people are not upset about the gay stereotypes and problems we're having and the wokeness and all that, and Black Lives Matter and all that. They think it's gotten out of hand too. Most women are not upset about the way they're treated. They see the equality. But it's being shoved down people's throats. And it's false information that's constantly being injected into the minds of these kids who are more free thinking than we ever were. And instead of concentrating on that, get these young people in office, stop standing behind, voting for, supporting these old dogs who will never learn a new trick in their fucking life, and get some young people in there that can make this change. Because that's what needs to be publicly done. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
What was the OMG for?
I love the fact that you speak your mind. That's what the OMG was for. And thank you. But I do. Now, I guess that was a little bit of a rant. What about you guys? How do you feel about that? What is the steps we can take? What are we looking for? What are you looking for? Because this is a great topic as long as you're not going to one side or the other, because that's where our country gets destroyed. Neither candidate, neither person, the last president of this person, is worth following and putting your soul on the line for.
Yeah, there's too much money involved.
Yes, neither one.
Corporations.
Mm-hmm.
No, see, Brandon's right. I mean, you sit there and look at stuff. When I try to explain stuff to people about government and anything else and like the diseases and shit like that, I have to tell them to go back and look at these movies. And he's like, oh, it's a movie. I said, yeah, but it is based on general situation. If you go back and watch Distinguished Gentleman with Eddie Murphy, they buy everyone in legislature. They're bought.
Yes.
They're bought and sold, and it is that way. It's unfortunate.
Where'd they come up with that idea?
Right?
This is where
and they're bought and sold. They're bought and sold that way, and that's the way it is. And they get bought to put their vote the way they want it to do. So it's like,
and that's the problem. And I do believe that we are currently raising a generation, as much as I bitch about a lot of things they do, as much as they lack a lot of common skills that I think they should have, thanks to social media and stuff like that. They are a much more open generation. And I do believe a lot of these generations don't look at money the same way that we did. And I do believe that they have the ideals to want to be put into office to make a change, not make the cash.
no, and they do at the first. But then after that, all of a sudden it goes into this, goes into this, goes into this.
But
So,
you get the right people.
I mean, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, but you get the right people, and eventually you can hack down on that. You can do something about the lobbyists.
All
You
the
can
right
do
people
something.
go in there. All the right people go in there for the right reasons, but they change.
It's like
If they're
They
in
do.
there long enough, they
But it's-
change.
But that's the thing, too. They're in there long enough.
And
There's
they
a
change,
reason we
yeah.
swap out presidents, and the reason we always have. There's a reason there was a limit on terms. But we put a limit on terms on the guy that technically does not make the laws. And put no
Right,
limit
and
on the ones that
have the
do.
You still have the people that you elect that say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And no, doesn't happen. And that's the end of my political talk about this. So
That's fair. That's fair.
That was very bipartisan. I think we did good.
Well, that's the thing is technically we should all be bipartisan because government sucks. Like we should look at every fact, not what one side is telling us, because every side that tells us something has an agenda. They have a reason to tell us. They have an ultimate goal, and they are bought and paid by what they're trying to shove down your throats. And I wish that would change. It's not going to change till we get the right people in there. And no, it's not going to happen overnight, but we have to start somewhere. Young people out there, if you're watching, anybody who watches this, if you're young and you got the skills, and get on that fucking ballot. Nothing can change until you try to make a change.
You see that truck driver?
Hillary!
No, I was just going to bring that up. A truck driver
Yeah.
just beat out, was it New Jersey?
I think so.
I think it was New Jersey. Beat out the governor, or beat out the New Jersey candidate. A truck driver with no experience.
They're like,
I'd
"What are
rather
you
not
gonna
see
do
a
when you
truck
get there?"
driver
He's
take
like,
over. But you know why he made it?
Because we're ready
Because
for change.
Right. So get in there. Your chances are really high. If you got a shot and can make a difference, get in there. What we need in government are real people. We need people that know what it's like. We need people that weren't bought and paid. We need people that didn't even necessarily go to college. Just people that know what it's like to live.
Dwayne
change
The
that.
Rock Johnson.
Oh, God. I have heard that name so much lately. That's constant. I don't know why, but he's like the staple of people now. Every conversation goes back to The Rock for some reason.
Come on, you can see him coming out to Bob's like a rock.
All right,
Hey.
we're going to go back.
When he gets into government, it'll probably be like 8 years from now, but he'll probably get into government.
Probably.
Just saying.
Once
Yeah,
he's
I'm
done
sure he
every
will.
movie.
Actors can be. I mean, why do you think actors have made it? Why do you think Schwarzenegger made it? Why do you think
After-
Reagan made it? Why do you think all that? They're
After
popular,
Jumanji
but they're not
number
known politically.
11, yeah, he's there.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to the movie thing that was brought up briefly on that. You were talking about Distinguished Gentleman. And movies are suffering, I think. And like I said, pop culture in general, because of what we're allowed to show and what we're allowed to do. One of the things people were talking about was movies that couldn't be made today. And that's true. Examples were like She's All That, Soul Man, if you're familiar with that one.
Tropic Thunder.
Tropic Thunder. There's a bunch of them that couldn't. The thing that people were forgetting is like Shallow Hal. Shallow Hal was one too. There were so many fat jokes in there with Gwyneth Paltrow in the fat suit and stuff like that. And using that for an example, the problem people forget is they're comedy movies. Comedy movies poke fun at reality. And no matter how woke you think you are, no matter what you think is going on in life, you still make fun of people. You still
here's
talk
the
amongst your
problem, too.
friends.
You have to be exposed to that stuff to then go, oh, I don't like how that feels. Oh, I don't like the way that person's being treated. You need some exposure.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why
Well, what
comedy's
about-
so important right now.
What about Baldwin and Rusty?
Baldwin and Rusty. What's that? I'm sorry. I'm not familiar with that.
Baldwin
Oh.
shot the gun and
And
killed the
on
guy.
Rust.
Oh, Baldwin. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, Rust?
I thought you
I
said
thought it was
bald
Rusty.
women and Rust. Okay, that's what I thought you said. Okay,
Bald Women and Rusty.
That's why I was like, I don't know what
What a
that
movie.
is. I'm like,
It was behind the beads.
I mean,
and
let's
the-
go chamber. Sorry, echo chamber.
yeah, that was rough.
back to Drina. She wants to go back to the candidates for a minute. I do feel there's a specific background a candidate should have. I don't get to see many movies, so just a must for you. I do believe. I don't really think there's necessarily a background they should have, honestly. I don't think it's needed because the more background you have as far as government and politics, the less I think you become qualified.
Right.
I think you should have a decent education. I think you should have a decent understanding of how things work in the world, whether it's through business management, whether it's through even an acting career where, believe it or not, actors are very familiar with how the world treats people. Extremely familiar in how they react to different things. I think the must for me is a decent education, but I don't necessarily care in what field. Because I know people that work at Taco Bell that have a better understanding and better insight on the world than the people in government. And make those changes. And they would probably do a lot better if they're there. Sure, it's going to be taking teaching moments for them. They're going to have to learn a thing or two once they get in there, and there should be people who can help them out. But that's what Congress and the House is supposed to be for. So if you're going as president, they still make the laws, and they can explain to you what can and can't be done when you try. But explain what you want to try to accomplish. I think presidential promises should go out the window because they're meaningless. Most of them never get followed.
Yeah.
What about you guys? And what about you as well, Drina, or anybody else in the chat? What do you think is a specific background a candidate should have?
Keith, you know it. You know, when you work in the bar situation and stuff like that, you have you just have a good gist of who people are when they walk in, what's going on with them, and how they're going to act that night, and what's going on. And I think people like that have a better idea of what's going on instead of the people that are sitting up there on the pedestal and going, "Hey."
Right. That's what I'm saying. These people see like even the Taco Bell worker sees a bigger variety of people.
Like
they see a
psychologist,
homeless people, family with kids suffering, living on a buck, not living on a buck. They see this going on. And actually people in food and restaurants probably see it more than a lot of us, bars as well, in public venues. Mm-hmm. They see it a lot more because they see them in their natural state. They see what they're dealing with. That's why I think they'd be good. What were you going to say, Brandon?
Yeah, I said psychologist, but that might be a little too much.
No, it's your personal opinion on that, and I would love to understand why psychologist.
Because you really, really understand how people think, feel, and they're actually opening up to you. Of course, just to give you an idea of how people are thinking, where people are at. You know, not anything specifics, but once you have that kind of ability to, you know, tap into how people are thinking, I think it would make you able to realize like what the country actually seems to need.
Personally, I don't think. Oh, go ahead.
The only thing with psychologists and psychiatrists are the fact that they only deal with a certain group of people.
True.
When you're out in the public, you deal with everybody in the fucking world.
True.
That's kind of what I was thinking about it because I don't disagree with your opinion. Obviously, it is an opinion. It's your choice.
He's right.
Yeah.
He's right.
Small sample size is the problem.
Yeah. But I do think there's something to be said. I'm not a huge fan of psychologists personally, so there's a little bias there. But there are some very good ones. But there is something to have a psychology background to understand, because psychologists often do understand more what people want, more what people's needed in their lives to change them. If they hear people, a lot of psychologists might look on the news and see these stories and see these people and say, this is what would actually make them happy. This is why they're upset. It's not what they're screaming about. It's what's going on behind the scenes. And you're right. I think I would have never thought to include that as a background, but I think that could be a really good one to understand the people and what they're going through. So bravo, Brandon. I was entering arguing, and I was thinking, you know what? That's not a bad idea.
For I like that one. Many movies suggest you must for you. I gotta say, Independence Day, the original, with the greatest speech by any movie president of all time.
I don't know if she meant that comment for the specific background as a must, or to a movie suggest a must movie. But either way, I like the way you're thinking, Brandon. So Independence Day speech for sure. I would go with that. What about you? Is there a must movie for you? Just even if it's not what you meant, we're going to talk about it really quick, just in case. And we can go right back to the other one. We flip flop topics all the time, so don't worry, Drew. Any other questions?
When posted up about the world's changing, I went right back into The Watchmen, the movie, and that song in there playing when everything was going on. The world is a changing.
Yeah, let's. I'll preface the answer to this with, of course, the point of bringing up the movies was not going to be about the movies. It's more about the changes they do, and I'm going to briefly go back because the movies that couldn't be made today, I think, are the movies that should be made today. And starting with Shallow Hal, we already talked about it. They said it couldn't be made because of all the fat jokes, because you spot people on the inside, and fat people don't deserve to be loved. I get what you're saying, but you missed the point of the fucking movie. He realized he was wrong. He was a person like 90% of us are out there. We do judge people. We're a judgmental society. No matter what you say or what you think, we judge people. If we didn't, why is it swipe left and right on every dating application? based on a picture. We're a judgmental society. But the fact was, he fell in love with her before he ever knew she was a skinny person. He realized he was wrong. He started standing up for people. He knew there was a difference. I'm not saying Jack Black's over the top for me sometimes. I like him in some things, not in others.
Right.
But the point was he learned the lesson. Soul Man, the guy dressed as a black guy, put on blackface, which could never be done today. Actually, he took pills to do it, but which could never be done today, to get into college. And it was wrong. And people say about the blackface, it's not allowed. Do you forget the point? He was a rich, entitled white kid who doesn't understand the situation, who eventually learned what it was like. Lessons were taught. The way movies work is not to have everybody woke to begin, but to see an everyday person who acts like yourself change. That's where influence comes in, because you start with a person that reminds you of you or people you know, and you end with somebody who's learned a lesson to say, I've never looked at it that way. She's All That was a joke because it was literally glasses and a ponytail. But still, the point behind the movie was valid. You know, who you can be. Sometimes I will agree that 80s and 90s movies endings had happy endings on them. And they were inappropriate happy endings, like you go through all that and you still win the girl or whatever, you know, and I get where they're coming from with that. But the lessons involved in these movies need to be addressed. Going to television, All in the Family. All in the Family was an extremely racist show. It was a bigoted show. But it wasn't. Archie Bunker was. And he was the epitome of a lot of men at that time. And that show was responsible for a lot of opinions changing. And that could never be done today. But everybody in that show around him, their job was pretty much to knock him out of his state of thinking and sell him what's good and bad and talk about the world and how it's changing and how he's wrong. Those things are needed. Can you think of any movies at all, in your opinion, that you think couldn't be made today, or TV shows that really should be, because they taught better lessons than people are giving them credit for?
I think it could definitely be made today, but The Blind Side, Denzel Washington.
Mm-hmm. That
just showed the best. That was one of the best teaching movies when I was.
And it was up. Now the guy, apparently the real guy, was very unhappy with that movie because it had nothing to do with his actual life. He was always into football. He was all that, but apparently he got mad at that movie. I just found this out recently. I watched a special on it. Huh. And but that's another one too that should be. I'm going to ask Bill. He doesn't have his headphones on yet. As soon as he gets them on, I'll ask him the same question. But that's a good one too. It's just the stereotypes we use. They think they were wrong to have. But now, if you start with a woke movie and end with a woke movie, there's no lesson to be learned. You're not affecting the people who need to be quote unquote woke, who need to see the other side, because they're just refusing to see your film. They're refusing to see that TV. The first thing that's going to go pop up in comments is, I'm tired of woke films. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this. I'm one of those people in some way. I don't want to watch it, because you take a Terminator franchise that I loved, minus a few exceptions, that showed Linda Hamilton, a regular 80s girl who got caught in this bullshit. And then in the second one, got strong, became a strong woman who defeated this robot, who did everything she needed to do, who grew stronger throughout. She was a heroine. She was not shown weak every way. And now you come back and you claim you're going back to the roots with Terminator Dark Fate, and you put every guy in it dies. Every woman is strong and the hero in every way. There's no lesson to be learned, because if you're a woman, you're invincible. You take Star Wars. You take the Rey character. She's Rey. She's the woman. She can do everything. Everybody else can be hurt. Everybody else can die or not have a point. But she's the woman. She's invincible. That shit's got to stop, because you're not seeing proper progression. I cannot relate to those people. Most women cannot relate to those people, because it's not the life they live. Terminator 1, that was the life a lot of women lived. They watched the character progress from who they were. Huh?
Let's go into your thing. Let's go into your movie. All right. So how about Halloween? Jamie Lee Curtis's character.
Yep.
Went from hiding in a closet to going in and trying to kill Michael at the last one that we just saw.
Yeah. or H2O, which is the sequel I love, but same thing. You watched her progress from that everyday person you could associate with into this strong woman, showing that everyday people just like you, have the potential to be anybody or anything they want.
Yeah, there's gotta
That's the
be some
message
kind-
from those characters.
It's called an arc
Yeah,
instead of
it's
just
a character
flat
arc.
line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, now you have to open the show. If you're gay, and you die, you can't. If we want to be equal, but we don't want you to harm us because then you're homophobic, which is what we started part of what we started with the show with. You're separating yourselves. You're creating the opposite effect of what you want. We were already being inclusive. We were already adding things in. I wish we could keep doing that. I really do. I asked Brandon. I'm going to ask you, Bill, at the same time. A movie that was from one of the copies was something that couldn't be made today. That should be made today. It couldn't be made because of woke purposes, but it should be made today because the actual lesson it teaches.
Well, I'm going back to the Tracy Lords thing. No, I'm kidding.
Mm-hmm. Those should be made every day. Yes.
So, thinking about Halloween and stuff like that, and I was, going through my old movies and stuff like that. So, Brandon's very young. I don't know what he knows and who out there knows, but so Phantasm was a movie that scared the shit out of everybody in the world.
Yeah.
When it came out. And if they redid it today, they couldn't do it better. And if they try to do it better, it couldn't be redone today.
That would be. It could be redone, but there's just so many things they can't do. You can't have a weak female. You
Right.
can't have a black guy die. Diversity is overboard, and that's the other thing that I don't think people understand when we say we need a diverse culture. That we don't need diversity in everything because it doesn't associate with us. During Super Bowl, I
The
played a
Jason
game.
movies? The Jason movies?
Friday the 13th.
When I think it was it the second one or the third one? And they were at the farmhouse, and the first guy he butchered up was the black guy. That turned into some shit at a point in time.
Yeah, and that was in the 80s.
Yes, and that was the 80s.
And it was common. And I mean, there was the old movie trope that the black guy is going to die in a film. And that was an old movie trope, especially in horror movies. And it was true. You can change that. You don't have to change everything.
In the 70s or early 80s, if it wasn't what they called a I can't even say the word, blaxploitation movie, where the black man was the hero, and a black man died in a movie, it was like, boom. It's the same thing with, if you go into the, let's go way back, Star Trek, all right? It was the guy in the red shirt that always died first.
Yeah, that was the big thing. Red shirts died. I remember that.
Yes. Yep.
That they even poke fun of that in the newer Star Treks and stuff. You put on the red shirt, it's like you're going to die. And
Galaxy Quest 2.
I haven't seen that one in a long time.
Galaxy Quest was the guy, his name was Guy, and he was like, I'm the guy, I'm going to die. It's like,
Yeah.
So.
And going back to the diversity thing that I think we're going too far with our wokeness is friends groups are not like you're portraying them now. I'm sorry to say it. And it doesn't work the other way, and I think that's what also pisses me off. You don't see a group of white people. You have to have the black guy and the Asian or whatever in that group. The problem with that is it's not a natural group. Most of us do not have the token black guy, the token Asian, or anything like that in our groups. Most white people hang out with white people. Why? Because they're in their neighborhood, and it's not a racial thing or anything like that. And it takes away the realism of the situation. Occasionally having one, but you find nothing now that doesn't try to hit that diverse culture, which alienates certain groups of people. If it's a movie that takes place in a white neighborhood, then it's going to be white people. If it's a movie that takes place in a black neighborhood, it's going to be mostly black people. It's a movie that's openly diverse. It can have both evenly in it, but they have to do with everything else. Also with women too. Women have to take all the roles in there. That's not something people associate with. We got to go back. Movies like Tootsie, movies like there's a few other. Mrs. Doubtfire is another one that was under fire.
Doubtfire
For all that. Yeah. What were you gonna say, Brandon?
I mean, wouldn't that resonate? Well, you could do it better. What they're doing is just throwing, like, you need arc, and there's no arc.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying they shouldn't. I think saying the diversity shouldn't be there is too much.
No, it
but
should be there.
You need that arc.
And I think maybe I came off wrong saying it, but the problem I have is the diversity is in there to the point where
Right,
you
to
look
get-
at it and say this person was added just to appease people.
Right.
You don't
That's
look
not
at it
good.
as to
That doesn't-
believe
Yeah.
this is part of that regular group. You know, in movies prior to the last 10, 15 years, you could see mixed groups of people and you believe they were together. But now you see that a lot of times, you're like, no.
Yeah. What's
And
this
Disney
overdone?
started with that shit. Disney made the movie Cinderella, and they had Whoopi Goldberg, a black woman,
Yeah.
Victor Garber, a white
Yes.
guy, have a Chinese child.
Yes.
Like, that was one of the biggest things I had when that movie came out. I'm like, that is, you can clearly see this is thrown diversity. Have a mixed child. I'm cool with the black and white, no problem. Cinderella being black, it was Brandy, clearly black, not mixed. Was Bernadette Peters, her stepmother, but the others were as white as a ghost. This was not their child. You know,
That's
stuff
just
like
bad
that.
Math.
That's what I'm talking about. That's where it's getting overboard. Not that there shouldn't be diversity, but you're hitting it too hard to the point it looks like you're trying
Yeah.
too
It's
hard.
to where you
instead of
can
natural.
just like plan it out. Like you can call it if you're watching a movie and it's an hour in. You're like, all right, it's probably a gay scene coming up, and then
But yeah, you've got to have a gay couple now. When you see a gay couple on TV, it's not because they're gay. You feel it's thrown in half the time to make them okay.
yeah, it's way too lazy.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I just think it's a lazy way of working. The thing is, you take like the Goonies. You had the Asian kid in the Goonies. Hilarious, one of my favorite characters in the movie, but very stereotyped. Agree, and you do it again. You do the same movie, put the same a different Asian kid in there and tone it down. Don't
Right.
stereotype them so much.
Yeah,
Make them a group of the friends. You know, it's not that you have to remove. It's not that they shouldn't be there, but make it not so obvious we're doing this to prove we're a woke culture.
yeah.
We're doing.
That's- Yeah, you're just jumping into the we're
Well, the
woke
other
right
thing-
from the start of the movie, with no effort into the arcs.
Yeah, it's like, hey, look,
The
and
same kid was in Indiana Jones. You could let him, because he had perfect English, let him speak
Yeah.
perfect English and be who he was.
right, and these are where the problems are coming in. That's what I think most people always got pissed about was the way they were portrayed, not that they were in it.
Right.
So portray them differently. Don't replace them. You know, don't change history, which I think is something that's happening a lot. We talk about teaching, you know, Black history, which absolutely should be taught in schools. It should be a part of it. But Black history, I think, is a wrong term in a sense. It should be American history, including Black history, because that is part of American
Where I
history.
live-
A lot of the struggles
Where I
they want to
live
teach.
right now,
Yeah.
and you know where I live, Keith. Where I live right now, they don't teach history in the schools at all anymore.
That's what I'm saying. They eliminate.
Uh-oh. Did you see that Black Mirror
talking about
episode
all
where
history.
you just turn anything unpleasant into static?
Hmm.
Yeah, that's not a good idea. Did you see
Yeah.
the rest of the episode?
That Black
I don't
Mirror
understand how.
is a great show for
I
those
don't
reasons.
understand how you can't teach history in school.
That's really
Right,
a bad
I
idea.
understand there's stuff going on and blah blah blah, and everyone's pissing off about everything like that. But you have to teach your kids about the history of the United States, one way
Yeah.
or the other.
Man, because then there's
It's-
going to be some guy who's like super dominant in school, like beating up everyone. He's like the king. And they're like, man, you're kind of getting like Hitler. And he's like, who's Hitler?
I just see it as, you know, we used to live in a culture where white people were right here, minorities were down here. And then we started to move slowly, and we brought them up, maybe not to where level we should have. And then they said, this is not enough. A lot of and I'm not talking about general minorities, I'm talking about the voices of the minorities that are often wrong and don't agree with the general population, want to be here. We want to replace everything, rewrite it, not teach your history or anything, when we really all should get to a point where we're right here, where we're seeing right here eye to eye.
But don't you think that there's going to be kind of a this?
There is,
Or
but there
maybe
doesn't
even just
have
a
to be.
this? What if
But
we
there
can all
doesn't
just
have to be.
rise?
If people would shut up about half this shit and let it progress and do things in the background like they should instead of shoving it down people's faces and having to yell it across TV networks, it would happen on its own because they would be doing things that they don't have to tell us about to change it.
Because it's the corporations being too desperate to go, hey, look how good we are without putting in any effort.
You know, they don't cancel Dr. Seuss. They don't not teach history. They don't do a lot of these things because it's the right thing they do. They do it so people know, hey, this is what we're doing.
Right.
Right.
And that's what.
Well, the thing is like for the schools, you ought to be able to teach both histories, and it ought to be all right. Just like you were saying, like this, Keith.
Yeah.
You know, and they ought to teach everything. But the thing is you have people that contemplate on both sides, say, no, that's not right, that's not right, that's not right, and this wouldn't happen. And they all both have their own ideas of actually what happened through history. So
that's the problem. And if you teach them on an equal level, at least you're probably going to have a little more accurate description. Because Black history, regular American history back in the day did omit a lot of Black history, and it should not have.
Right.
However, a lot of people want to teach Black history, want to omit all of the white history. They don't want to teach that either. That's also the wrong move. You're doing the same problem in reverse. You need to find a way to equalize it and damage us. Tell us the white man was wrong. Our ancestors were wrong. We were assholes. We did stupid, cruel,
horrible,
murderous, horrible things to Indians and Asians and Irish and Black people. We did terrible things.
Oh, so Irish. Oh, so get me started on Irish.
I won't, but we did absolutely terrible things. Point us out. Point out our flaws. Don't omit from history. Point out how a lot of Black people are responsible for getting themselves out of slavery in the status they are in today. They deserve that recognition. They did great. And talk about the most important thing in life is to be equal. It's to see equality in people. You know, and that you're not better than them. You're not worse than them. You're not better than them. White people got to be taken down a peg. That's very true. Black people need to be raised up a peg, and other minorities as well. We need to be equalized, and that's what we're not doing, in my personal opinion.
The most important thing I thought about tonight that I got to remember is, so Disney let everything loose, and Charlie Brown Thanksgiving with Snoopy fighting with the lawn chair is going to be on TV.
Ooh, yeah. I know. I was so pissed when they took over that the rights to exclusive.
It's my favorite. Sorry, it's my favorite.
I absolutely agree with that. I mean, so much shit covered tonight. Really, it started with the woke movement, people profiling, and we went into movie culture. We went to sex addictions. We went to vaccinations, politics. We covered so much. And it just goes to show how much shit is on everybody's mind. That they're constantly being bombarded with other things that they don't care about. And our plates are full already. As human beings, as just people going on in American life, our plates are full. We have families to worry about, jobs, money, bills, careers, cars, stuff like that, houses, utilities. And you're bombarding us with other problems that really we don't need to be yelled at and screeched upon when it comes to the wokeness era. That we're doing our best, and most of us are just trying to survive. And you people in your fucking basements, on your fucking computer, pizza rolls dripping down your chin, you don't need to be on here just starting shit to create controversy. We know the problems that exist. You're creating problems. You're looking for reasons to create problems. The Michael Myers movie, we talked about him being homophobic, was because one person decided, I bet you I can find this, and they did. And they sat back, jerked off to internet porn, and went to bed. Because that's all they do. It's a fucking tweet, and you're giving your lives over to these
You eat
people.
those pizza rolls too hot because you just got burned?
And, but it's true. You're following. You're not following the government. You're not following the people who are driving this down your throat. You're following some loser who had nothing better to do than pick apart a piece of entertainment and put the right thing out there so everybody followed. And people never thought that way until they read it and said, "Oh, I guess I should think that way." Now they're following this person, and they're all proud of themselves, patting them on the back. It's just stupid. Think for yourself. Concentrate on your life. Concentrate on what you got going. As far as sexuality, we'll do that really quick. Try new things. Enjoy it. You never know what you'll enjoy in life. Sometimes things get stale. Talk with your partner. Find something new. As far as vaccinations, make your own choices. Be educated. As far as looking for presidential politics, the biggest thing you can do is be educated. Educated about what you're choosing. We need a change. Change doesn't start from bitching about it on a computer. Change starts from doing something about it. And to the young people out there, you're the ones who have to start making that change. We can't do it anymore. We're stuck in our older world. The presidents we have can't do it anymore. They're stuck in their old world. Make the change. Get on the ballot. Put something out there. Get recognized. We need you more than you realize. We need a better world out there. We need your ideals. People put you down all the time. But you know what? You are better than the majority of us out there because you can see beyond. A lot of us can't anymore. So get in there. Make the difference. Don't just talk about it. Bill, it's been amazing having you on the show. I'm glad I have missed this show. I'm going to say to both of you at the same time as you two as well, Brandon, because I just generally miss it. It's good conversation. It's good talk. A lot of shit's happening there. And I'm really glad to be back. It's been a long month. I've missed this deeply. So thank you.
Thank you, Keith.
Hope to see you again soon.
Yeah.
We don't know what the topic's going to be coming up on next Wednesday. We still have our open forum coming up on this Sunday. So it's pretty much going to be the same thing. We're just going to try to focus on certain topics on Wednesdays. Open forum, we're just going to kind of hit shit up as it's going on. We're still going to have topic show Wednesdays. We're not going to decide them way in advance. We're going to look to our Facebook page. We're going to look to our Ear Shoulder Voice website and YouTube to find people who suggest topics they want to hear or something that's on their mind so that we can address it that week instead of having it scheduled so far out in advance. So we're going to try to do that more often, and we'll have the topics posted at an earlier time, just not 2 months earlier. So we'll see you all again later. Thank you again for joining us here at Ear Shoulder Voice. You guys have yourself a great, marvelous, wonderful, fantastic night. And if you ever want to talk to us, you can do it anytime by going to our Facebook website, message us, or you can even go to our Facebook page and message us, or go to Ear Shoulder Voice website, and you can message us even anonymously if you choose to, or post on the page. You can also do that anonymously. People will help you out, or about topics you want to see. Other than that, enjoy, and we'll see you all later. Bye. Bye. There we go. Hey guys, Keith Liffin here for Ear Shoulder Voice. While you're here, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and follow so you can be notified of all our upcoming broadcasts that we'll be bringing to you live every week. Or head on over to our brand new social network and website, earshouldervoice.com, where you can be notified of all our show schedules, suggest new topics, join others like you in a judgment-free zone, or be a guest panelist yourself. That was a good show.
Yeah. That was
I
fun.
covered a lot more than I planned to on a Wednesday. We could have technically taken any one of those subjects, which we were going to, and make a full show out of them, which was the point of topic shows to begin with. But I think it's a good idea to, be able to switch it up a little bit and have a couple that we're going to hit on there, just like forums. Forums seems to be the way to go, but sometimes the forums don't have the necessary subjects at hand because we want to be an open voice for some deeper topics sometimes.
Right.
An open ear. That's why we still want to try to keep some form of topic on these shows. Maybe even if we have a friend that's going through drugs, depression, maybe took their life or something like that, it can be a topic for that show, and we'll discuss it. You know, and we'll reserve that for Wednesdays, where Sundays will be a little bit more relaxed. Hopefully, got to find something to do because these cancellations are ruining shows.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what it is. Good show. I like it.
Yeah,
Lots
I
of
had a
stuff.
good time.
Mm-hmm. Everything going good for you, Brandon?
Going good. Doing Mark Ridley's next Wednesday.
Nice. Back to it.
Yeah, back
All
to
right. How about you, Bill? Good, Bill. Glad to hear it. All right.
it. It's doing
My
great.
sister moved out finally, and I'm clearing out the house. So
Nice. Is that good or bad, honestly?
no, it's good. Other than the fact that she moved out her bed and stuff like that, and left a bunch of fucking bullshit in her fucking room. And today I called her and said, "Hey, you come get it tomorrow. It goes to the garbage."
Oh, that's why we lost Trina. She said her phone died. I was wondering she was doing good. She was really steering the conversation, which I really liked. I'd actually love to get her on this show sometime. Trina, if you're listening,
Yeah.
we'd love to have you actually as an actual panelist because you say you love having you on. Okay. I thought I typed that wrong. But she loves the fact that we speak our mind or speak our voice, or I do, but all of us do at the same time. She seems to be one that does that too. So I'd love to get her as a panelist on the show. So if you're interested, Drina, message me sometime. We'd love to have you actually on the panel if you get some free time. Talk about whatever you want. And Bill's gone. Bye, Bill.
Bye, Bill. Yeah.
Yeah, so I do. I appreciate all this.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find. They changed the format on everything on me again, so I'm trying to fix it. I had to re-log in and everything. So it's delayed. Yeah, it's
Look at
good.
all
They're doing
those.
more stuff.
Look at all those things we're on.
Yeah, all 6 of them. We're not really on LinkedIn. We should be streaming to LinkedIn, but you got to do some kind of account to get on LinkedIn. It's a long waiting period.